Welcome to this special bonus episode of the Passive House podcast. I'm Zach Semke, Director of Passive House Accelerator, and we're pleased to be sharing a series of bonus episodes recorded at the International Passive House Conference 2023 in Wiesbaden, Germany. These interviews were made possible by support from Icon Windows and Doors, Inotech Windows and Doors, Intelligent Membranes, Minutair, and clima. Please enjoy this bonus episode.
Jens Lüder Herms is the Head of Export, Industrial Customers and Product Management at clima. He's technically based in Schwetzingen, although he's often not there because he's out on the road talking to suppliers and designers, builders, anyone who is interested in building better buildings, and particularly around air tightness and building physics. He's a fantastic trainer and an absolute wealth of knowledge, not only for the clima products, but also building science in general. I caught up with Lüder, and he was explaining to me his own journey of how he first learned about air tightness and passive house and his experience as a Geselle.
So Geselle is when you finished your education.
Yeah.
This is a German structure, and I loved this a lot.
Yeah.
And these times I came a lot in contact with, the first time in contact with air tightness and insulation materials.
Yeah.
We built a lot of houses in the area around Hamburg, which was expanding these days, and they were new built houses. In the end of the 90s, we had high energy standards in Germany.
Yep.
All houses needed to be airtight. And so I learned a lot about this. After 2 years, then we had in Germany a big crisis in the building scenery.
Yeah.
So a lot of people got unemployed, and for me as a young man was the decision what to do.
Yeah.
And I decided then to do my studies as civil engineers.
Wow.
And during to my education as a carpenter, I got the focus on timber constructions.
Going back to your education as a Zimmerman,
Yeah.
and then what was the next one?
Geselle. Yeah.
What did that look like? Was it on building sites, or was it in a classroom?
No, it's both.
Yeah.
So you are searching a company.
Yeah.
With them you make the education contact.
Yeah.
And then you are working on site.
Yeah.
And you have the education in school. In normal school, you sit on a table, as you know it.
Yeah.
And then besides this, you had the practical school.
Right.
Where you learn how to cut, how to calculate the roofs, to cut the rafters, pre-cut it, and the alleys, the dormers, everything.
And how long is that process?
It was the first, so you do the education for 3 years. The first years you're nearly the whole time in school. Only in the holiday seasons for 6 or 8 weeks you're working on site, and then it gets less and less. I think the second and the third year it was 1 day a week you spend in school, and then always every 6 weeks for 2 weeks in the practical school.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's still not. Then there's what journeyman and master. Is that part of that hierarchy as well, or is that separate?
The master education,
like a master builder.
The master builder is more practical.
Yeah.
So you got the education, then you are Geselle.
Yeah.
Then you have to work for a couple of years. I think 2, 3, 4 depends which profession you have, and then you are allowed to become Meister. You say Meister. Carpenter.
Yeah. So that could be a 5 or 6 year long journey, or a lot longer.
Maybe, yes. You can do the Meister in the evenings. You work normally and do in the evenings, or you go for approximately 1 year to school, full-time school.
And that's still established. That's still what people, if people want to be a builder and become a good builder in Germany, they would go down that path.
Yeah, the Meister education has a very high. The people like it.
Yeah.
Because when you're a Meister, you are proven that you are good what you're doing. According to the European Union and the European laws, they have to balance it between the different countries. And so it's not as necessary as it has been before to be a Meister, unfortunately.
Right. But you chose a different path, went to engineering, and chose timber structural engineering.
Yeah.
And so that was back to the classroom.
Back to the classroom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that you were doing air tightness already. So was that part of your training as a builder, as a carpenter? You knew about air tightness already?
So when you are in the education as a carpenter, you learn these days not a lot about air tightness.
Right.
You learn a lot of calculating masses, how much tile do I need, how much timber do I need, how can I cut at the roof. So it's very based on the things you have to do to build timber. You're not learning how to build in insulation, how to build air tightness.
Right.
This was everything I learned on site.
Yeah.
It was around, I guess, 1999, and all my people I learned from on site, they knew about air tightness, but they told me this times, don't build so tight. We have these damages because we build so tight. A component has to breathe and all this stuff I hear everywhere in the world, all these wrong things. Yeah, and I remember it so well from these days.
But you didn't know it was wrong at the time, did you?
Sorry?
Did you know that it was wrong then?
No,
because that was what
because it was the old experienced people tell you, and you know, okay, why not? But when he says do it this way, in the ending, you had no chance to do it differently.
Right.
Yeah, but it depends. I had the opportunity to learn in two companies because one company got bankrupted.
Right.
not my fault.
Yeah.
But they got bankrupted after 2 years, and so I switched to another one where we built these new houses, and they were completely different, but only because builder supervisors who control the buildings, they want to see every step. They came when we installed the insulation.
Yep.
They wanted to see that it's nicely installed, no gaps inside, and this was one control step they've done. And then the second time they came after we installed the air tightness layer.
Right.
And so in the second company I learned how to do it really. They used better materials, so a good brand. Yeah.
Yep.
In the first company we only used the cheapest stuff.
Right.
PE sheets and the cheapest tapes, and so it depends always on the people.
Yeah. So, and was that a requirement at that time to do an air tightness layer and an air tightness test?
We have since the year of 1995. It is a law to build airtight.
Right. With what target?
I think it was 3.0 these days.
Right.
And 50. Yeah.
And is that what is it now?
I think it is down to 1 because you have to, when you build a new build house, you have to think about the air quality.
Yeah.
And then you have to install a controlled ventilation system.
Yeah.
And most of them require an N50 value of 1.0. I think in the legislation it's now standing 1.5 or something.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But quite high.
And then when did you first learn about Proclima?
First about Proclima, it was during my studies. I made a practical. You have to do a practical part, 3 months with a company, and I was in a company in Flensburg, north of Germany, and this is the only one who produced in Germany zip systems.
Right.
Zip systems, and because it was in the north, between the two, Baltic Sea and the North Sea, we were very active in building houseboats. Floating homes.
Yeah.
And then we had this issue with these floating homes. They put it in this metal. How do you call it?
A flashing?
The metal? No, it was like a boat, and then we put in the boat. We put
so like a barge.
Yeah.
Something with a house on.
So we had to thought about the protection of the timber.
Yep.
And during this, I got in contact with a researcher, Norman. Norman was his name, from the University of Munich.
Yeah.
And to talk to him, I came to the company Proclima.
Right.
And luckily or coincidentally, I read this timber construction magazine.
Yep.
And they were searching then the assistant for Lothar Moll, who is the owner of Proclima.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, interesting. I applied, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what was that, 20 years ago?
16 or 17.
Right.
2006 I started. I started in March 2006.
Right.
As to support Lothar Moll in his work, because Proclima this day was, the Intello was invented.
Yeah.
So it was just new in the market. The second Intello, or with the product from Isoware, the second product who was allowed to be moisture variable, intelligent with variable SD value.
Was that the paper-based?
No, it
one,
was the Intello. The paper base was the DB+. This was the first intelligent membrane.
Yeah.
This is existing since the middle of the 90s.
Oh, okay.
But it was a paper-based product, very ecological, and for this product, the interest in the market was reduced on special people who are thinking in ecological.
Yeah.
And the Intello was from the performance clearly higher.
Yeah.
And it was a product, a high-performance product, which got attention from the market these days.
Yeah.
And it has the biggest variability from the SD value, 0.25 meters in summer and 20 meters in winter.
Yeah.
It was... it's these days unbelievable good. It's still an unbelievable good product.
Yeah.
But these days it was a revolution.
And was there a big market for it at that time? Did people know?
No, yes and no.
Right.
So the existing product these days had problems with high air humidities. It opens too fast. And so when you have a new built house and you have plaster and screed and everything, and you have winter, high air humidities on the inside, the existing products open too fast, and we had moisture damages inside. The Intello is different, so it was developed that the opening curve is respecting these humidities, and we don't have these problems. And so, of course, every company who does not have an intelligent membrane uses this as an argument against it.
That it's too open.
Yeah, it's too open, but it's not. It was not for Intello, and so we had to convince people.
Who did you have to convince? Because that's quite a hard story to tell.
Yeah.
The homeowner doesn't want to know about how vapor permeable the membrane is, do they?
If a homeowner knows about this problem, they were easy to convince.
Sure.
But the thinking in these days, because all the modeling of the components is done with the Glaser method.
Yep.
And the Glaser method is a good one, a good approach. But it's
so this is the hygrothermal modeling the
Glaser is different. Glaser is very simple. You have two climate situation, winter and summer, and then you calculate with you think that it is complete airtight, so no convection is respected, and so they only calculate how much diffusion is going into the construction in winter, how much moisture by diffusion, and how much moisture can dry out.
Yep.
And if more moisture can dry out than come in, then according to the standard, it was okay. Right. But when you take a look, and these days, it was the thinking, the tighter the construction on the inside is the better, because the less amount of moisture comes in by diffusion.
Right.
And so when, as an example, in a flat roof, when it comes in by diffusion 5 grams in winter and 6 grams can dry out, it was a valid construction.
Yeah.
But you only had a security level of 1 gram.
Right.
And at this point you have a small damage inside, and you have convection. The whole component is was very fast destroyed.
Right.
Because you have no securities inside. Or if you have built moist wood, or if it's raining through the building time and you have more moisture in the components expected, it's getting too much moisture in, and then over the years this construction got destroyed.
So that difference between what was coming in and what was going out, the buffer was not big enough.
Too little, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Intello changed that.
Intello changed it, yes.
Yeah. And so did people understand that story though? Was that something that you could explain easily to a builder or to a homeowner? And
it's like everywhere in the world. It depends if the people are open or not.
Right.
We had people who say, yes, we have a problem, clear, this is a solution. Others says it's not working, how long is it working? You have people who are progressive and people who are conservative.
Right.
But so we improved year by year by year by year. We made a lot of trainings, lecturing, says, come on people, you need this security level. And even if you do not need it, be happy that you have it in case something unexpected happened. Yeah. And so our customers has always been who are more consciousness about what they are doing.
Yeah.
About good constructions, durable constructions, highly insulated constructions. And this is how it started.
And education is a big part of your role today?
Yes, it has always been.
Yeah.
So we have a new training center where we invite people. We are very active with doing now the new online training approaches.
Yeah.
We are doing a lot of seminars in our merchants. So we sell in Germany through merchants, and then they invite their customers. We go there, teach them. We go to the schools, to the education schools for carpenters, for roofers, to explain it. Everywhere where we are allowed to speak, we speak.
Right.
That's it.
And are you always saying the same message? Like if you're talking to designers and architects, are you saying the same as what you're talking when you're talking to
mainly yes
carpenters?
Mainly yes. So it is unbelievable. So we were always used to bring the problem close to the people. We use research done by the Fraunhofer Institute in Stuttgart, where they compare a component with perfect airtightness, 1 square meter, and another component where they entered a 1 millimeter gap in the airtightness layer. And it shows clearly how much energy they need more to heat it, to keep the temperature difference inside outside stable, and they also show how much moisture can come in. And moisture, it's 1,600 times more compared to an airtightness construction. And I do this training for 16 years now, but the most convincing point in this construction to point out the problem is still this experience, even if it's 20 years old. And it's everywhere in the world.
So does that mean getting people using the products and then experiencing the result?
Right. So it's first to show them what's happened if you are not working really airtight. That small leakages can cause a big damage. Even if you have a good blower-door value, maybe of 2 or 1.5 or whatever, it does not mean that you can have maybe a leakage in one area, which is enough, which is big enough to cause the damage. And for us, it's first important to make the people understand that most of the calculation methods, or the calculation methods that's mainly used, is based on the fact that the house is built perfect, that you have no moisture, no damages, no rain, no bad education people, no building built-in moisture, no nothing.
Which never happens.
It never happens.
Right.
It's exactly, and the risky thing is you never know how much moisture do I build in, and so our approach has always been, okay, we try to how do you call it, to recommend components where you have the highest drying back potential possible. Because the higher it is, the higher is the security. And the less is the risk.
Buffer is a lot bigger.
It's like an airbag. What I say, or an ABS system. I explain it always like this: you buy a car and you buy an EBS system, an airbag, whatever, and you're not buying it because you say, okay, in 2 years I want to make a crash. You're always having it in case you come in a dangerous situation, that you have the possibility to avoid an accident, or to avoid that you get injured. And everybody who's driving a car has a situation. You always know if it's raining, don't drive fast. If it's or do not drive faster than it's allowed to, and do not play on your cell phone or whatever. But everybody comes in a situation where he's not 100% concentrated. And I myself, I had a situation where I was very happy to have an ABS system.
But we don't do that for our houses unless we need to.
Of course. Now it's changing now. So. In Germany, we have the law that they say if every component needs to have a certain drying out capacity. And you can achieve it to the outside or to the inside or on both sides. Then you have the best security. And so it's changing because they learned hard because of the damages they found.
But it's not just the individual components; it's the system, right? So you got to have the wall has got to work well as a complete system.
When I talk about component, I mean the whole structure: inside finish, airtightness layer, insulation, exterior finish. This is maybe the wrong word, but this is what I mean when I talk about components.
So that's airtightness and Intello. Was that the beginning for ProClima? Were they doing weather tightness as well at that stage?
No, ProClima, the development was. It's a coincidental development. So Lothar Moll, the owner, started with ecological building materials because he wanted to change the structure of building houses in Germany. And with this, he got in contact with timber constructions, of course. Then he started with insulation material. He was importing cork.
Oh, yeah.
Cork is from Morocco.
Yeah.
And then he started very early with blown-in cellulose.
Yeah.
And because he's an engineer, he always wants to find the best solution. And so he developed, in combination with this blown-in cellulose material, he developed the first convection stoppers on paper-based material.
Yep.
The DB Plus. The DB Plus was invented in 1989. It's paper-based, the first intelligent membrane in the world.
Yeah.
And then he found out, wow, air tightness is something I liked, and it's changing a lot, and we can do better. And so he focused only on air tightness, sold his merchant shop.
Right.
And then he concentrated on air tightness, and of course then you need a brand. And the brand clima was then developed in the year 1994.
Yeah.
And since this day, they worked for air tightness first with ecological people.
Yeah.
But then it becomes bigger, and we had this knowledge, and the system was enlarged. We started with tapes, we started with the Solitex, with the TEEE technology, monolithic membranes since the end of the 90s, so very progressive these days, and then in the beginning of 2000 Intello. Yeah. And then 2006 I arrived, and then we focused a lot on export markets. Yeah. And so the story begins.
Yeah.
And now
you've got a big catalogue.
Right.
Do you know how many products are in there?
We have more than 300 articles.
Yeah.
For different markets, different climates, different situations, so different customers, and this is something where we are very focused on to have the highest quality. Yeah. And solutions where other companies says, you cannot make money with it. So we say, okay, that doesn't. For us, it's not important if we sell now 100,000 of the products, or if we just have a solution for a couple of hundred sites a year.
So you got some niche products in there as well, some very specialized.
We have a lot of products where you normally, if you go it from the how do you call it, Kaufmann business side, you would say it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But for us, it's always the motivation to build better houses. Yeah. And this is it. Yeah.
And there's quite a lot of work still to do. Still, just getting started.
Yeah, it depends where you are. In Germany, we are, of course, air tightness is a commodity product. You say commodity product, so you have to do it. But still, you have here improvements when you have new way of building houses. The CLT thing is quite new. And
but we've also got some great products for retrofits and renovations, which is sort of the next frontier of fixing all the existing buildings.
Right. So houses which are built in the 90s, they are from the energy standard very weak compared to today. Yeah. And there are strict laws. When you retile your roof, you have to insulate it. Yeah. When you have a multifamily house and you rent it out to other families, you have to do certain improvements of the energy standards. Yeah. And there are a lot of questions about connections, about durability, about safety. Yeah. And this is everything part of our thinking. How can we realize the component, the structure, not to last for only 5 years until you're out of the warranty, but to make it last for the next 30 and 50 years. Yeah. Because it's like when you've built a passive house 25 years ago. Yeah. Nowadays you should not refurbish the insulation.
No, and you don't want to have to be redoing your air tightness.
Right. And the same is when you now insulate a roof with 30 centimeters insulation. Yeah. Or whatever, and you maybe 15 years, 20 years ago on the inside you want to have something different. Yeah. You just have to remove the interior finish, and so you do not have to change the air tightness. Yeah. And this is, of course, for us important to reduce the waste when you redo it. Yeah. Yeah. And keep the product as long as possible in the house, in the construction. Yeah.
No, very good. Hey, well, thank you for thanks for your time today. It's good to see you here again.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you very much.
Look forward to another 16 years.
Hopefully, yes. So we have a lot of work to do, and we have wonderful people who are working in the same direction as we do. Better houses. We have like a worldwide team with friends and partners, and this is really fun.